In this video, I'm going to show you how to fix a washing machine that's not agitating or spinning. Here are the tools you'll need to fix this washing machine. Of course, you'll need the bushing that has broken. You can get that from the parts store. You need a flat tip screwdriver, a Phillips tip screwdriver, either an 8mm or 5/16 1/4-inch drive ratchet, the 1/4-inch drive ratchet or screwdriver, however you want to do it. You also may want to get some kind of wrench or a small hammer to tap this piece onto the motor shaft when you get to that point of the assembly. This is a Kenmore 90 series washing machine. Many washing machines will function the same way. It has a part that goes between the motor and the transmission that breaks. Here's the piece here. It's got some feet that goes through a rubber bushing. Let me pull that apart so you can see it better. Okay, as you can see, it's got 6 holes in it. This is a rubber piece, and these are hard plastic pieces. When this machine quit working, it actually sounded like it was still working, and when it went to the spin cycle, it pumped the water out of the machine, but it wasn't actually spinning, so the clothes were very wet. When it filled up and like it was washing, you would hear it fill up, you would hear the motor cranking, but when you opened up the door, the inside of the agitator wasn't moving at all. All your clothes was just sitting in there full of water. So the first thing I did was took all the clothes out, set them aside, after I put it on spin and let all the water drain out. Now this is a Kenmore 90 series machine, but whatever kind of machine you're fixing, you'll need to get your parts ordered from a appliance part supplier. They'll sell to anybody over the counter. The most important thing is that you get this number off of the machine and tell them what model and serial number you have so that you can order your parts. After you get the water drained out, you want to unplug the machine so that you don't get any chances of electrocuting yourself. First and foremost, one of the most important things to remember when working on your appliances, washer and dryer, refrigerator, is to always protect your vinyl floor. So what I normally do is get some thick cardboard, maybe fold it in half, put it up to the front edge of it. I tilt the machine back and slide the cardboard under it because when I pull this out, I don't want to tear my vinyl. Okay, next thing you want to do is pull these pieces on the side. They pop off and allow you access to the screws at the bottom of the panel. Do that on both sides. After you get the screws out of both sides in the corner, those are Phillips screws, you pull the panel a little bit forward and then you lift it up. So the panel will lift up and fold back out of the way. It's probably okay to let it hang from the wires and stuff, but that is how you get the front of the panel open. Next thing you want to do is take this flat tip screwdriver and undo the clips that hold the lid on, one on each side. What I did was stuck the screwdriver down there, grabbed the tip of this and popped it up. After you pop it up, you can set these pulleys out of the back piece and try to make sure the back just doesn't fall off. Next thing you want to do is unplug this electrical connector to unhook this top panel from the base of the machine. You may take a screwdriver or something, get it under there and lift that so that you release the latch on it and then unplug it. Now that you have those latches off of both sides, the front of the machine will actually just lift away from the rest of the machine. So you can slide it away or you could pull it off at whatever rate. That whole body of the machine just lifts away from the rest of the machine. Next thing you want to do is unclip this pump housing from off the front of the motor. Sad thing enough, if you look right there, somebody's worked on this machine before and they had this hose off and they actually didn't put that clamp back on properly. So I'm going to maneuver that clamp and put it back on properly with a pair of pliers. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pry these clips off with a screwdriver so that this piece is freed from the motor. When you undo these with the screwdriver, make sure you pay attention of how they were hooked on there so that you could put them back on the same way. So I pulled that straight off the shaft, and now I'm going to take these two screws out and take the motor off of the transmission over there. So I'm going to pull these two screws either with a Phillips or maybe a 10 millimeter socket. I'm going to go ahead and unplug this wire so that it's not holding that motor in place and I can pull that motor straight back off of the transmission there. Okay, I got the screw out the top, screw out the bottom, I got the plug out the side, and then I unplugged those white wires there. Now I'm going to go ahead and unsnap those clips and pull this motor toward me. Okay, to get the motor all the way out, I had to disconnect the two red leads from that thing there. And make sure you don't mix up which one was on top and which one was on bottom. The plug that I unhooked from the side was hooked up to the bottom, and then the wire coming from the bundle from the bottom of the washing machine was plugged into the top. Okay, I recommend you undoing the bottom one first. As soon as I undid the top one, it fell down on the bottom one. So this should just lift off now. Now that I got the motor away from the bottom of the washing machine, you can see the part that's there. All three prongs are broken off. The rubber bushing just fell to the floor. It had one of the pins still in it. And then on the back of the motor, the plastic piece there is actually shattered apart and broken off. Now, when I moved the washing machine away from the area that it was in, I found I found 5 of these plastic pieces here laying on the ground. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was laying on the ground, but as you can see, this rubber piece here still had one of them in it. So that's all 6 of them broke off. So after this plastic piece gets old in a few years, it's going to break. You just need to go buy another piece and get that replaced. Alright, I pulled on that thing with a needle nose pliers and it came sailing off of there. So watch yourself. I'm going to go ahead and get this part off of the motor. And as you can see, it just lifted right off. So I'm going to go ahead and put this part back together and slide the motor on it. Now that I got this piece off the motor, I'm going to take the new ones and find out which one goes on the motor the hardest, and that's the one I'm going to put on the motor. One part slid on the motor easy, the other part didn't. So the one that's tight on the motor, I'm going to put it in place, I'm going to tap it on, and then I'm going to build it back together. Okay, I stood the motor up, and then I tapped that part on, and you can use a hammer or something, and it shouldn't bother the motor because you got the bottom of the motor sitting on the solid surface like a concrete floor or something. And that way you get that piece on and you want it flush level with the shaft. So now I'm going to put the rest of it in. Be careful not to bust up those plastic things when you're tapping that in. Okay, the next thing I did was put the rubber piece on, and then I put the other plastic piece on that's going to slide over that shaft. So it's a little bit heavy, but set that motor back in place and set it over that shaft and put that top clip in to support the motor against that shaft. What I decided to do is turn the shaft so that the flat parts are parallel, and then align the piece on the motor so that it's parallel, so that it'll be easier for me to fit it on there. So now I got the flat part parallel. Let me go ahead and fit the motor on there. Okay, the four corners of the motor had little rubber grommets on them, so I got them fitted in to each spot. I slid the shaft over the transmission, and then I put the front clip on, and that's got the motor supported. Now I'm going to put the bottom clip on and go from there. Okay, I got those two screw bolts back in those clips. They're either 5/16 or 8 millimeters. I think it doesn't matter either way. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this pump back on the front of the motor, and then I'm going to put the clips on it. To get the pump to slide on the shaft, you want to align it so that it's parallel like the shaft is on the front of the pump. That way it'll fit on nice and easy. Now that those clips are on, I'm going to go ahead and plug up my electrical leads. Now that my leads are all plugged in, I'm going to go ahead and fit the front of the washing machine body back on and latch it at the top. Now when you fit the body of the washing machine back on the frame has a tab there and one like that up front that the bottom of this body fits in. So you want to make sure to fit that in right so that it sits secure before you latch in the top of it. The best way to get that to fit in tight is push the front of it, have it tilted back, push the front of it all the way against the bottom frame, and then as you lower the back of it down, make sure that your backrest is all the way up and over the tub the way it's supposed to be, so when you lower the body of it onto its guides down on the bottom, you have the top in place. Alright, now you can verify that the bottom of it is in its guides the way it's supposed to be by giving a little sidewards tug on it to see if the body of it will pull out towards you. Once you verify that the body is in the bottom base, you go ahead and clip in the back, pull this forward, and snap that back in place. Do the same on the other side. Go ahead and plug in the plug for your lid switch and lower your panel down. Make sure your vacuum line is still hooked up to your level indicator and everything else looks good. Guide that guide in place, push it back on both sides and put the screws in. Don't tighten those screws down too tight on either side, just snug them down. After you get that snug down, go ahead and snap your trim pieces back in place and you can plug it up. You're all done, good to go. Okay, if for some reason you unplugged your hoses on the back, snug those down as tight as you can with your hand and maybe turn them maybe 1/8 of a turn, but you want to double check those hose connections on the back of the washing machine to make sure that they're not leaking. And if you think they're over 5 years old, you should go ahead and replace those hoses. They may be $5 a piece or something, but if they're old and they break, they'll flood your house. So let's go ahead and watch the washing machine, make sure it works. As you can see, the washing machine is agitated, so the repair went successful.